This is Talkin Cowboys.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com.
And the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Jason Witten is in the end zone. Intercepted. Sean Lee. Touchdown. Des Bryant.
Now, your hosts, Mickey Spagnola, Nate Newton, and Rob Phillips.
Good morning from the Star in Frisco, and welcome to Talkin Cowboys inside the SWBC Mortgage Studio.
Why
Bob?
you sound like you're in a tunnel?
Something's wrong. Nate, Mickey.
There we go.
Yeah. All clear?
Now we're good.
Somebody must have came out of the Garrison and rounded it up, man.
Kent Garrison next door inside the new Garrison.
Great.
Yes.
As always. Sounded like we were in the basement.
You guys sound flawless, and the fans can attest to that.
Okay.
Sound like we was hanging out at Mick's crib with his aunt down in the basement.
Down in the basement where you used to watch football?
On a dirty couch.
Watching
That's right.
those Packers?
Absolutely.
Well, we've got just a little bit to talk about over the next hour. I'm not sure we can fill the hour.
We need 2 hours.
Yeah, we can fill the hour. We need another hour. But we'll do our best. 888-855-2297 is the number, at Talkin Cowboys on Twitter if you'd like to reach out to us. We're live on Periscope. And, guys, we got to start off with free agency. And maybe that will lead us into feeding the beast, as we always do.
Well, the beast is still here, right?
Yes.
How come?
Well, you told us, as Nate quoted you just before we went on the air. Nate, go ahead. What did you say?
Why would you just give him away? Don't just give him away. That doesn't make any sense.
That's a good fake, Mickey.
Thank you. But it was very accurate.
Yes, it was. And yesterday, I was leaving San Francisco last night around about 6:50. Well, not San Francisco, but LAX.
Oh, we were close to each other.
Yeah, so coming around the corner, we got there early, about an hour or so early. We sitting at chilling. Guess who shows up?
DeMarcus Ware. Scott Purcell.
Scott Purcell, his family.
Oh, that's right.
They went to Walt Disney.
He's on vacation.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Our broadcasting director.
And the first thing he said was, "What do you think about free agents?" I said, "I think it's okay." Then all of a sudden, Mickey was right. Remember when Mickey was just saying, "Why would you just give him away?"
To our new listeners, if you're new listening to Talkin Cowboys, the Beast is code for Tony Romo. Talk.
That's right, the Beast.
And Tony Romo is still a Cowboy as of Tuesday, the second week of free agency, despite many reports the day of free agency last Thursday that he would be released.
12 hours before.
Yeah, it actually broke the Wednesday, the eve of free agency. That once the New Year League began at 3 o'clock Central last Thursday, he would be released. And lo and behold, he has not been released. He has not been traded. He is still on the roster.
Let's go over the timeline on that, by the way.
You could do it, Vic. I know you know.
So first, sources said, and everybody had sources, by the way, that he was going to be released as soon as free agency began.
Right.
Then, when he wasn't released, sources said he was going to be traded.
Yes.
Then, when he wasn't traded, sources said he can't be traded. No one wants him. So, either sources, they need to find some new sources.
I don't know.
Or they probably ought to just keep quiet till they really know what's happened.
I just think somebody put on their hat, put on their blue jeans, put on some nice boots and a good shirt, went up to Oklahoma and was just rolling the dice. It just said, "This," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't know. If you can tell me, right, what is Mr. Jones thinking? What is Steven thinking? We don't know. Not at this point.
I don't know how calculated all of our decisions are.
And what I think people need to understand, there's a lot of poker being played right now by three sides.
Yes.
The Cowboys, Tony Romo, and whoever might be interested in Tony Romo out there in the NFL. And everybody's kind of playing their hand right now to see who's going to blink first. And Tony Romo himself, to me, is stirring the pot from both sides, trying to drum up interest in himself. And so,
how so?
Well, his goodbye video seriously like he was leaving. He knew he wasn't leaving. He didn't have anywhere to go. But he was trying to make it sound like to somebody else that, ooh, somebody might be interested in me. Oh, if you want him, you better come get me.
I think one thing's clear is that he won't be back. So
yeah, I mean,
he can say goodbye to the
Why
Cowboys
is everything
fans.
clear? What suggests that's clear?
I think he would rather retire than come back and be Dak's backup. So it's either he's going to retire or go to another team or be traded.
The general consensus,
be released.
to Kent's point, seems to be in the media.
There was a general consensus before the free agency began.
That this hasn't happened yet, but a release or a trade is probably inevitable. Now, that's not coming from the Cowboys. Jerry, we were on the bus, Kent and I, we talked about that last week.
How many times did he say there was a possibility he could return?
In Indianapolis, he would not rule it out. Let me read this quote, too, from Jerry real quick, from that interview that we had.
Can he read that, Mick? Please don't interrupt.
Okay, sorry.
Hear Rob talk.
I just wanted to make sure he's reading the right thing.
Don't you worry about me. I'm okay.
All right, go ahead.
This is Jerry on the bus back in Indy at the Combine. He said, quote, "We're in a situation right now where we need to see some things happen. We need to read some tea leaves. We don't need to be overtly doing something. We don't need to do that for cap room. We don't need to do that for any reason," end quote. So, I mean, he said back then that March 9th was never a self-imposed deadline to reach a resolution
but no one
on Romo's
listened.
future.
No one listened to him.
Well, there were sourced reports, and there's good reporters that had that information that something was going to happen with him, that he would be cut on March 9th, and it didn't happen.
What happened?
The best way I would describe it, Ken, is that this is a fluid situation. I mean, the Cowboys had the right to change their minds, and they're under no deadlines to make a decision here.
I fully believe Tony was under the impression, and the Cowboys gave him the indication that he would be released on March 9th. He wasn't, so that's the end of that. I don't think the sources are wrong by it not happening, because I believe that's what everyone, including Tony, thought was going to happen.
But it didn't happen.
You're right. It did not happen.
So the sources were wrong.
It shouldn't have been reported if everyone, including Tony, was under the impression that it happened. And when it didn't happen, Tony said, "Screw this. I'm putting out my own video. I'm not waiting around
No, I
for
think
you guys."
because no one traded for him, he put out the video to make it sound like he was going somewhere when no one was trading for him.
I got to think they'll release another video when he decides where he's going. That was more of a sever the ties here on a good note. And thanks, Dallas. Appreciate it.
Did you see that Instagram video,
Did
Nate?
you see the look on his face? Did it look genuine?
You know,
it looked like he was clowning.
You know what? This is the reason. Now, I didn't know this before I got here 100 years ago, but I learned it real quick within 2 weeks of being a Dallas Cowboy. This is what we live for. This is what we live for.
There's never a dull moment. Is there?
See, why don't you read the quotes from Jerry that said it's a possibility that I haven't given up on the possibility of him being here? Because he said it like 3 times in an hour and 15 minutes, and nobody used that. Everybody just glossed over that.
Sound right.
It's not.
No, that was
what is
my
that going to
headline
do
that
to
day.
have Tony in camp next year? What's that going to do to Dak?
What?
You gotta move on.
Anything? Why would it do anything to him?
Because he'll be a better quarterback than Dak.
Is he fragile? Well, you don't have a competition. You just say you're the backup.
I think
there's no competition whatsoever.
You're right. He's also turning 37, and
what better job could he find than be the backup quarterback for the
being
Dallas
a starting
Cowboys?
Quarterback for another team?
Okay, does anybody want him, Kent?
The one
he
time
will not be on our team next year,
Mickey, the one time he stood up and spoke to the media last year, gave that prepared speech. He talked about a burning desire to still compete.
I
if
understand
he still wants
that.
to play and he's not going to retire, then he's not going to start in Dallas. It's Dak's job.
Where's he starting?
I think,
help me here.
After 14 years in the league, guys, is it possible, Nate? And I think maybe this is where the general consensus is coming from, that the Cowboys would try to give him that opportunity. Now, I see your point in that it's just good business. Hey, you saw what happened in 2015. It's the most important position on the roster. They're dealing from a position of strength here. You don't want to hurt your team. You've got a great backup, but he's given you everything he's got for 14 years. If he wants to go play somewhere, do you let him go play somewhere eventually?
See, this feeds right into what we have been discussing. And this is what we talked about it a little bit briefly. We as sports fans, analysts, whatever we want to call ourselves, we may have a high regards for what's in this house. But GMs, player personnel directors, this Tony Romo move is, I'm staking my life on this guy. So people are not going to be as quick to move. When people listen to Jerry, other owners listen to Jerry. He talk, hey man, I'm gonna need something for Tony. Other GMs talk to Will, hey man, my boss wants something. So they're gonna. So it's a waiting game. I mean,
what's the hurry?
It's a waiting game.
You're right there. There was never a hurry.
There still isn't.
And there's a reason too that Houston just dumped their quarterback pretty much on the street.
And Chicago.
Okay, then what happened? Then what happened? Why didn't they pull the trigger?
And Chicago, they dumped theirs.
They might.
Well, you talked about a game
long
of poker,
time to go.
right?
Well, let's go.
I mean, are teams calling the Cowboys bluff and saying
they don't have to release them?
They don't. You're right. But can you envision the same dynamic of last season carrying into another season with Dak and Tony, and every time Dak throws an incompletion, there's the camera on the sideline, and is Tony going to play? I mean, you have to. They've made the decision to go with Dak, but is that still going to be lingering over next year?
So let me go here. What happens in game number 2 when Dak Prescott separates his shoulder?
You just made Nate cringe over here.
What happens? He went through an entire season without missing a snap. He didn't miss a snap until they pulled him against Cleveland and pulled him against Philadelphia in the season finale. What are the percentages of that happening again?
And I hear your point, because I referenced 2015, what happened to this team when they didn't have a good backup on the roster.
Or in 2013 when they had to play the final game of the season without their starting quarterback.
But you have to admit, this is an unusual situation.
Well, it would be the greatest situation in the world if he was your backup quarterback and he was willing to do it.
If he's willing to do it.
If he's willing to do it.
The bottom line is, as Mr. Jones and his staff, Will McClay, his son Steven, as they wait, the Texans, the Bears, the Broncos, everybody's waiting for somebody to make a move.
Where was the quote from Jerry on the bus? Myself and Tony Romo have a great constitution for ambiguity. And we're living in ambiguity now.
Yeah, and Jerry also referenced that there's not a fragile nature in the locker room, that they could handle this situation for another season if they need to. But look, nobody thinks he's going to be back. I mean, for the most part.
Well, nobody
outside the building
would be here now. And what did Jerry say? Until you hear it from me, don't believe a thing. And he hasn't said anything yet, has he?
What sources say.
Yeah, and usually Jerry's the source.
Yeah.
Well, it's a situation we will continue to track, as we have since last August, basically.
I think feeding the beast is
We're
over.
just going to take it day by day.
And do you realize if the Cowboys wanted to play dirty pool, because now Tony's going to retire, they could force him to pay back some of that prorated signing bonus. You think he would do that? What would your wife say if you had like $10 million in signing bonus already in the bank, and you decided you wanted to quit working, but I gotta write a $10 million check back to my employer?
I would hope she'd be supportive of him not wanting to play anymore.
I didn't say that. I'm asking Rob.
Hey, happy wife, happy life. You know what I mean?
I tell you right here, man. When I was in San Francisco, it was a guy called Mr. Sprinkles. He owned Sprinkles Sugar. Remember Sprinkles Sugar?
Yeah.
Okay. He was the richest man in San Francisco, and he bought the biggest house in San Francisco on this big old hill. Okay. It passed down through generations. Danielle Steele bought that house. She owns the biggest, most richest, and elaborate house.
The author.
Now, when you got that type of money, and I don't know if Tony got that type of money, I think she can write a $10 million check, but I don't think Tony can write a $10 million check. Well, I know y'all saying, where's Nate going with this story? You got to have plenty, and I don't know Tony, and Tony may be a different level millionaire, but $10 million, well, that ain't easy to write with or without a wife.
Yeah. $10 million is still $10 million,
Yeah, it
no
is,
matter
brother.
who you are.
Ooh.
And, there's also been reports, I think an ESPN report over the weekend that Fox or other outlets may be interested in him as a broadcaster if he were to conclude his career. But all indications have been he doesn't.
Good at Fox.
Yeah, I think he'd be great in the booth if he eventually goes that route. But all indications are he still wants to play outside the building through reports anyway. Again, he has not spoken. That Instagram post, Kent, what do you think of that? I mean, he said we've got a lot of things to think about, and strategically, he had Bob Dylan's "Times They Are A-Changing" playing in the background.
And who was videoing it, by the way?
Probably his
I don't know.
cousin.
Cousin Andy, right?
Cousin Andy. It's just amazing. I like it, man, because I knew Rob was going to give that. Just imagine. Can you envision?
100%.
Mick is,
yeah.
Mick is like a mule. He's narrow-minded. He got blinders on. He ain't going to see it.
Well, it's my job to present possibilities, what
Right.
the options are. Kent?
I agree with Jerry's stance on there's no rush at all to get this thing done, but I also agree with he probably more than 99% is not going to be a Cowboy next year. So I think you can have it both ways.
How does that benefit him?
I mean, he basically said goodbye in that speech.
How does it?
Thanks for the support,
How does
Cowboy
it
fans.
benefit the Cowboys not to have Tony Romo here?
If he doesn't want to play for them anymore, it benefits them to not have him around anymore.
But it costs the same.
You're right.
He's here or gone. It costs the same against the cap.
But we have Kellen Moore and Mark Sanchez.
They are still free agents, Nate.
But we have them.
They could go.
Until
They could go
until they go
someplace
somewhere else. We have rights on them. Lance Dunbar, Darren McFadden. These guys, they are unrestricted free agents, but they have not signed with anybody.
Right.
And I'm telling you, through experience of watching other guys that have played for the Cowboys, what better place to come back to than the Dallas Cowboys?
By the way,
So, don't sign Kellen
And
Moore. Don't
just think
sign
about
Kellen
this.
Moore.
If they go through the rest of this week and none of these guys get
Ain't no
signed,
more money.
then they're scrambling to come back.
Ain't no more money now.
Josh McCown took a visit.
Yeah,
He was released back in February. Free agent.
kicking the tires.
Yeah. So, I mean, potentially that's another option. But the longer they don't do anything with Tony, then he may go somewhere else. because
Okay, great.
He's got
Please
options,
somebody
possibly.
please sign Josh.
Well, fine.
Please somebody
What do you
sign
think,
Josh.
Mickey, is going to happen?
Is he the last quarterback standing?
No.
Count?
It's not like the last picture show of quarterbacks.
No, but if Tony winds up not on this roster, then you don't want to be in a situation like you were in 2015 where you don't love your backup situation and got to make a trade.
So you don't like Kellen Moore?
Orlando McClain, Brandon Carr,
Do you like Kellen Moore?
Claiborne,
Do I like Kellen Moore?
I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Morris Claiborne,
I like him as your third quarterback.
Orlando
Because
McClain.
that's the only thing we've heard, right?
We're going to get
Steven
there, Nate.
said-
We're going to
No,
get
I'm
there.
just, I'm just reading
Steven
guys that
said-
could possibly come back. To. I'm
Steven
sorry.
said they weren't sure if they would have Kellen Moore and a veteran or Kellen Moore and a rookie.
Yes.
That much we heard.
Jerry didn't rule out in that interview, possibly drafting a quarterback, which means you need a veteran there and then behind Dak, and that veteran could be Tony.
Let me say this. Let me pose this question to you. I know how Mick feel. Would you want Tony back? Would you, if Tony said, "Hey man, let's work out something. I'm coming back." Would you want?
If he's fine in that role, then yeah, I'd be okay with it.
How about you?
If it was clearly
Mr.
established that Dak Prescott is our guy, is the starter, don't even start any controversy, people on the outside,
right?
Media, fans, all that stuff. I'd be okay with it. He wants to play. That's been all the indications is he wants to play, and he's not going to get to play here.
Okay.
Well, what if he can't play anywhere else and this is his only option?
Well,
Then
that goes
what
back.
is-
That goes
what
back
does
to
he
the
do?
poker game you're talking about. I mean, there's reports that Denver and Houston wouldn't want to trade for him.
Call in.
Are they just
Well,
waiting for him to be released?
Run out there with Simeon and Savage.
Okay.
Because that's where Houston is right now, right? Tom Savage, their
yeah.
starting quarterback.
Can't ask you a question.
Well, what do you think is going to happen, Mickey?
I have no idea because I don't think they have any idea. And I think the Cowboys will sit tight I would think.
Until it clear up a little bit.
Yeah.
Tea leaves. He said tea leaves. They got to read tea leaves.
They have no reason to let him go
And
this point. As Jerry said, we have other ways to get $5 million. And if it's accurate that Doug Free is going to retire, then there's your $5 million.
Well, no,
Except
actually,
it's a $2.5 million dead money.
Actually, he said that the week before free agency in Indianapolis, and then a few days later, guys, they did create $5 million by restructuring Sean Lee's deals. That's exactly what Jerry was talking about.
Okay, you got to believe this. In another week, it ain't no middle class. If you're a quarterback, your money is always there. If you're a non-quarterback, you're going to be at the bottom of the barrel. So the longer it goes, it ain't going to hurt Tony, but the longer it goes, it's going to hurt the other guys. So ain't no middle class, baby. The middle class just went away last week.
I mean, what happens if somebody in the draft doesn't get what they want and they go, oh, we need a quarterback. We'll make a draft day trade for Tony Romo.
It could happen.
It's good business on their end to keep their options open, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think those reports last week got everybody in a stir.
Whoever the first source was, thank you. It was like a fire in Northern California that caught a blaze and a big wind blew up, and it
did.
What if the source was Tony Romo?
Oh, ain't nothing wrong
I don't
with
know
that.
if you could say the source was 100% wrong because it said he's expected to be released. I don't think that was wrong because he was expected to be released.
Did you see the morning news on March 9th, the morning of March 9th?
I didn't know.
They had a double truck inside on Tony Romo's career. They had a column and a front page story with a headline.
Sold a lot of papers that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
And it didn't happen. They wouldn't have done that if they just thought it might
This
happen.
is the same thing people were saying after he gave the speech, and they say, well, it's not like he's not going to be our quarterback anymore. Like, he's going to come back and lead this team. He never did.
Well,
you got to kind of read
Dak
these things as they happen.
Dak
and say
didn't get
it's
hurt.
over. It's done.
Dak didn't get hurt.
That's true. But he wouldn't have gotten a chance. Even if Dak had been healthy, he would have been the quarterback, regardless of how many games he lost. He was their guy from that point on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Dak was their guy, and he still is their guy. There's nothing wrong with having an old backup quarterback.
Don't say it like that.
Well, he's going to be 36.
I think he's too good to not be a starter in the National Football
Okay,
League
well
right now.
then,
I mean, you agree with that.
there's a team
Somebody's
out there
always
that's
entire
gonna-
is somebody going to trade for him?
Sure.
Okay, well then let's sit tight and see when he.
I think it'll be one of those things where they wait till the last minute. They say, "Here's what we've been offered."
Well,
and they'll pick the best deal at that point.
Well, that's my point.
Yep, that's my point. That's everyone's point.
Sam Bradford didn't get traded till what, early September last year?
That's a different deal.
To Minnesota.
That was a different deal.
See if anybody gets hurt.
That
depends how long you can hang on to him.
Deal.
How's it different?
Well, what I'm saying is, Sam Bradford, and we all know this ain't no sources. He was practicing to get ready to start and lead a team in a season. Mm-hmm. You know, with Tony, it's different because you know he can start. You can sit there. These people in Minnesota didn't even know. They was like hit by a freight train. Chicago, Denver, Texans, and a few other teams have already cleared their quarterbacks out, or they don't have quarterbacks that's valuable. So it's different. You already know.
I'm just making that comparison because it may not be an injury, but maybe situation where teams get into training camp and realize they don't like what they've got. And Minnesota was different. They had a desperate situation with the Bridgewater injury, and that's why they ended up with Bradford.
And how do you guys know that Tony Romo's not playing poker either?
No, I'm not doubting that.
Because
when you told me he came with a video, that made me laugh. I'm like, I'm not going to go watch the video.
Because if somebody trades for him, number one, they got to have $14 million of cap space for him to fit for 24 hours. And number two, if Jerry indeed has got Tony's back and won't trade him somewhere he doesn't want to go, then if he's getting traded somewhere he wants to go, that team's probably saying, we got to renegotiate your contract.
Yeah, it's a lot of options.
Right?
But
and they're going to renegotiate that $14 million base salary to fit to what they want to do. And if he's not getting what he wants from another team, maybe he says, well, yeah, It's not worth my while to go somewhere else and give up a $14 million base salary. So he's looking out for himself, too, by throwing out little flames.
Do we want to play the audio of his message?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what the message was. I'm telling you what he was doing.
Let's do that, Kent, please, if you don't mind, Rob.
Hey, everyone. I just wanted to come and tell you it's been a crazy 48 hours here, and me and my family have felt the outpouring of support and love from all of you. It's been overwhelming, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So I want to say thank you, and we have a lot to think about here going forward, but we'll see what happens.
There we go.
I'm just gonna keep listening to Bob Dylan.
Hey, enough. What just had music?
That's my wife. She just loves me unconditionally.
She came walking by in the background.
You combine that with the prepared speech back in
But that was
November.
That was disingenuous to me.
Why?
When he says it's been overwhelming, he does get mini choked up there.
Did you see his face? The little smirk. It was the.
They wanted to make it
like
lighthearted, Mickey. They wanted to make a funny video.
Okay. All right.
They don't want it to be him crying on camera.
He wasn't crying. He wasn't crying. He was playing poker. I've got some aces in my pocket, but I don't want you to know what they are.
I just think if you're going to teams that want Tony.
What do you think other teams? If other teams
know.
thought what you're thinking, Kent, then they're saying, "Oh, well, I better hurry up and trade for him because he's going somewhere."
Well, no. What I'm saying is,
maybe they've tried.
The only thing that I believe is, whatever team trades for Tony, I think they're ready to pay that $14 million. And I ain't talking about over 2 or 3 years. I'm thinking they ready to pay it. I think on a 1 year, maybe 2 year deal, they ready to pay it because they don't. Tony is not. When you look at Tony, and I'm talking about from a pro personnel standpoint, you're not looking at Tony more than 2 years. You're not playing that game. You like be this year, coming up, and next year. That's it.
Yeah, ideally it would be a situation like Peyton Manning when he went to Denver, where everything is set up.
Yeah.
You just need a veteran quarterback to go in and get it done. And so that, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it through that prism, that limits your options. We'll see.
But the thing is, does Tony want to play so bad? See, because I ain't heard Tony say, "Nah, I don't want to play for this team. Nah, I don't want to play for that team." I ain't heard that man say that yet.
We're just assuming it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, what if he do go play for the Bears? Is it the end of the world? Well, he can't win a Super Bowl there. Well, unfortunately, we didn't win one here either. So
yeah, everybody's throwing out Denver and Houston because that's become the trendy thing to say. Maybe there's other options.
See, I like to think a guy that's if it's in your core to compete, man, you know what? Wow. Like Mick say, what if another team don't want him?
Where are the other options besides basically logically?
Yeah.
Denver and Houston.
I'm saying
who else?
If he wants to just go play.
Who else?
Don't count out Jacksonville. I'm serious.
All right.
I think
they got weapons, good defense,
and they've got a young quarterback. They like their quarterback.
Yeah, they're gonna love on Borders. The place.
Where else?
The only other places you can do, and they restructured the Buffalo's kids deal.
Right.
Chicago.
Didn't Chicago sign?
So you're expecting him to be back? Basically.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Chicago signed Mike Glennon, right?
Yes.
That got done?
Yes.
Buffalo it did, yeah.
And Buffalo signed their guy.
Yeah, redid
right?
that guy.
I don't know where Jacksonville is on Bortles, but it's kind of early to give up on a first-round draft choice.
That's why they got rid of the coach.
So where else? What's the market out there right now for him, is what I'm saying. Now, are we going to believe that Denver and Houston don't want to trade for him? So if that's the case, ain't going to Kansas City, ain't going to New Orleans.
Houston already gave up a number 2 to clear out.
San Francisco, maybe the Rams.
San Francisco.
They
need a quarterback, right?
They'll probably sell their soul for the Washington quarterback because that's the connection there, boy. And I think that's the agent and the player.
Washington.
Forcing Washington.
If this
Washington's got a $24 million quarterback.
They unload that deal.
They fired the GM to let him know that you messed up, brother. You were fired. Wow.
Yeah, that's true. If this goes really sour, do you see Tony going to Washington?
And then they're just going to let Kirk Cousins walk?
They can't
They're
do
trading
that,
contracts.
They just fired that dude.
Kirk Cousins has made it clear he does not want to play there.
Well, he just
anymore.
He just made it clear that was a false report, that he never said he wanted to be traded.
Well, the thing about it is, the owner,
I don't know what you
and
want
the
to
president
believe.
told the GM
That guy had
sorry, nada.
But he had some other problems too.
Yeah, okay, but you know what? There are other problems and I hate to get off topic
or miss a break.
Yeah,
we're 10 minutes late.
But would you? What's the issue here with not signing this kid? It ain't. It's 32 teams out there. That's why I'm saying it's more bad teams out there than good teams. So Tony's chances of landing on a good team is not as great as people think.
Yeah, that's why
due to the salary cap, due to what people want to give up in the trade. This thing is so big.
That's why everybody outside the building has narrowed it down to Denver or Houston.
Yeah.
Or as Mickey said, maybe he's back.
Well,
what a non-story that would be after all this if he comes back.
What
he's back.
And going back to Washington, if Dan Snyder wanted Kirk Cousins signed, he'd have signed him.
Right.
So I don't think the general manager got fired because he didn't get
it looked
signed.
good, though, Mick. Don't take my thunder.
I know, but I'm just saying. You know Snyder.
Yeah, he does.
He does what he wants to do, right?
Well, we are late.
Yeah, but it was really
we
good.
did what we wanted to do, but now we've got to pay some bills here.
We need another hour, I could tell you.
We might go a few minutes late today. Let's take our first break. When we come back, let's get into the free agent moves, what the Cowboys have done, who they've lost through the first 5 days of free agency.
Trade Mickey.
With unlimited data from AT&T, you can stream your favorite DirecTV content almost anywhere. Side effects may include sports-induced public celebration, increased desire to share spoilers, and repeated late-night use of the phrase,
just one more episode.
The unlimited effect. Get unlimited data when you switch to AT&T Wireless and have DirecTV.
After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Must have eligible TV service. If you're not eligible, AT&T will move you to a new plan and overage charges may apply. Plan will include Stream Saver. Other restrictions apply. See store for plan details.
Hey, Cowboys fans. Did you know that over the next few years, more than 1 million service members will transition from military to civilian life? Veterans face unique challenges when they get out of the military, and Bank of America and the Dallas Cowboys are teaming up to help with financial education, career opportunities, and support of military nonprofits and organizations locally in North Texas and across the country. We're proud to support our troops and are deeply grateful for the dedication and sacrifice of our service members and veterans. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys, invites you to join us in our efforts to get involved by tagging game day photos on social media using hashtag TroopThanks. That's hashtag TroopThanks. And by learning more about our commitment to veterans at bankofamerica.com/military support. Together, we can thank our troops in ways that make a real difference.
Copyright 2016, Bank of America Corporation.
I went to my first Cowboy football game at the Cotton Bowl when I was 10 years old. I've been a Cowboy fan ever since, in the Super Bowl years and the not-so-good ones. Teamwork is what makes winners. At the law office of Domingo Garcia, we play as a team to win your case. If you have been hurt in a car or truck accident, injured on the job, call the law office of Domingo Garcia and join our winning team. With offices in Dallas, Houston, Austin, Odessa, and Tyler, we can help you in Texas. Call 214-941-8300. 214-941-8300.
This is Talkin Cowboys.
Oh boy, we still got Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or it's a free guarantee. And that may sound like a bold statement, but once you experience their mind-blowing underwear yourself, you'll understand why. Plus, shop exclusive Cowboys underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys, and you will get 20% off your first order. TommyJohn.com/Cowboys.
Yes, sir.
Well read, Mickey. Thank you. And welcome back to Talkin Cowboys. You okay? We good?
I wore them on Saturday, too.
Did you?
Yeah. My uncle had his 90th birthday. Went to Phoenix, to celebrate.
He caught some minor league baseball, or some spring training baseball.
Little spring training, 2 games on Sunday. How about that? Double hitter.
Very good, very good. I was sort of working Saturday and Sunday, keeping track of potential moves for the Cowboys if anything was going on.
They do anything?
Pretty quiet weekend. On Friday, though, they made a flurry of moves.
All right, let's go.
Let's go through it. First of all, they signed Bryce Butler back right before the start of free agency, and on Friday made 4 additions. They brought Terrence Williams back on a reported 4-year deal for $17 million. Thank you, Hawkins. Stephen Paya, defensive tackle, signed.
Oh, it's not like the Spanish dish paella?
No, I met him yesterday.
Paya.
Yeah, he confirmed it for me.
Very good.
Cornerback Nolan Carroll, former Eagle, and former Giants third-round pick, Nate, pass rusher, DeMontre Moore signed, the guy the Cowboys actually worked out last August.
Actually,
there you go, Kent, former Aggie.
Actually worked him out at some point during the season, too, had him in here.
Okay.
For a visit.
So they were able to plug some holes that way. However, they've lost, by my count, 6 free agents since the start of the new league year. Jack Crawford, Terrell McClain, Ryan Davis, all on the defensive line. Ron Leary, no surprise, leaves, signs with Denver, 4 years for $35 million reported. And both safeties are gone. Barry Church and J.J. Wilcox. Church to the Jaguars, Wilcox to Tampa Bay.
So we knew Leary was leaving, right?
Yes, sir.
So which of the other departures, really hurts?
I just didn't want Church to leave because I think last year we got a chance to see him play real well when he had another safety.
Right.
A capable safety. And allow him to go up into the box when necessary, play back when necessary. So that to me, that was a pretty bad loss. That and Ronald Leary, because now that makes Gaston Green have to step up to the plate.
Chaz,
excuse me. I keep saying Gaston Green, the running back from the Rams. I'm sorry. Chaz Green. He had to step up to the plate and be just a little more assertive and hope that the injury bug is not with him.
That's also a report. You mentioned that earlier, Mickey. Doug Free reportedly planning to retire. There's been no confirmation from the team on that. If he's not back in 2017, Chaz Green is the likely guy to step up unless they make another addition. I will say this, at the Combine, Jerry and Jason Garrett both said they didn't have an indication that Free was going to retire. So we'll see.
So if he does, that's a $5 million base salary they get back, but either way, he plays or doesn't play, it's $2.5 million hit against the salary cap for dead money for his prorated signing bonus. Mm-hmm. So do you think there's at all a possibility out there that they tried to renegotiate his base salary and he didn't want to do it and said, I'm walking?
Anything's possible.
I mean, it's $5 million.
Yeah. He's dealt with injuries the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He's been able to play most of the games.
He's played through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the bottom line is he's at that age where you can't keep doing – I mean, the Cowboys can do what they want, but I wouldn't keep doing that.
I mean, I think he's only 33.
Yeah, but he's a beat-up – his game has always been a physical game.
33 is dog year? Maybe?
Yeah, for him because, like I say, he's a physical guy, and that's been his game more so than finesse and technique. You know, that's been his game, trying to get rough with folks, and it's taking its toll on him.
Well, to me, he ain't retired until the papers get turned in.
Right. I mean, we'll see on that. If he's not back, though, then you're looking at from what your starting offensive line turned out to be by the end of the year, 3/5 of it would be back, and 2/5 would be gone with Leary going to Denver. So you plug in Lyle Collins back at guard, presumably.
So that's really 4/5.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Leary did a really nice job for them.
I absolutely agree.
You know,
and that's why he's going where they're going, because you can't afford a stake on every plate on the offensive line. But you could move Collins to right tackle, and then you find a guard. Can they re-sign Jonathan Cooper? Did they like him? I don't know.
He is still a free agent. Here, let's recap real quick. Here's the free agents the Cowboys have left.
Okay.
Nate mentioned a couple of them. in the first segment. Kellen Moore, Mark Sanchez, Lance Dunbar, Darren McFadden, Gavin Escobar, Jonathan Cooper, Richard Ashe, the defensive tackle, linebackers Justin Durant, Andrew Gatchkar, Rolando McClain's on this list, even though he wasn't part of the team last year. Don't expect him back. Brandon Carr and Mo Claiborne. Been no real word on what they're doing. There's been reports that the Ravens might be interested in Mo.
Somebody showed some interest in Carr I saw over the weekend. But that's interest.
Yeah.
And is it interest or is it agent interest?
I believe this, Mick, that you can't take with so many hits, no matter how you rate the player. You can't take with so many hits before it started affecting.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah,
my point was, if you look at the 20 guys that were free agents, there was arguably 17 of them that had a lot to do with this team going 13-3.
Right.
But you knew you couldn't re-sign everybody.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there anybody you guys are surprised is not back or is back? And how do you feel about what they've done so far? Do you feel like they've covered
they've
holes?
they've put Band-Aids on holes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like they're putting a place card there just to hold that spot until maybe the draft or something else occurs. I think what they've done is basically just
like when they got Alfred Morris last year. They drafted
it was
Zeke.
a Band-Aid, right? It was sort of like, remember when they signed Nick Hayden? It was never going to be a long-term deal. It was a Band-Aid for that spot. So now, how do you say it? Paya?
Yeah, Paya.
Paya. I want to say Paia. Use all the letters. He's a Band-Aid for that spot because you needed somebody to replace Terrell McClain.
Played with played for Rod Marinelli to start his career in Chicago.
Let's remember, though, if the Cowboys thought they knew they couldn't afford another high-priced offensive lineman, so Ron Leary was going to be gone. If any of these other guys they thought were that important, they would have gone out and re-signed them. They could have created money, but they didn't. So they didn't think Barry Church was worth restructuring somebody's contract to get enough money to get him under the salary cap.
Reports are he got 4 years, $26 million from the Jags.
Yeah, and by the way,
how much guarantee?
That's what I was going to get to here. Hang on a second, I got it here someplace. Where's Barry Church? 4 years, $26 million, $12 million's guaranteed. So basically, they guaranteed a base salary in 2017 of $5 million, a base salary in 2018 $4.5 million, and a roster bonus this year of $2.875 million. He didn't get any signing bonus. So basically, it's a 2-year, $12 million deal. So $6 million a year for your 29-year-old safety.
And they let JJ go to Tampa for a reported 2 years, $8.5 million. What it tells me, Nate, is not only do they feel good about Jeff Heath potentially stepping into the starting lineup next to Byron Jones, from what the broad man, Brian Broaddus, tells me, it's a deep safety draft. So maybe you can add another piece there through the draft instead of having to pay guys more than maybe what you think they're worth.
And Wilcox was a 2-year, $6.25 million deal, no signing bonus. His base salary for the first year is he's got $3.125 million guaranteed. So they guaranteed his base salary, and he's got $1 million roster bonus. So if he doesn't make the team, he doesn't get that. So, it's basically a 1-year, I think, $3 million deal the way it comes down to.
But you notice it's only exception on a few of these guys, but most of these contracts, if you go down them, they are 2-year deals.
Yes.
And Alshon Jeffries messed up the wide receiver deal when he signed that 1 year, $14 million. Everybody like, whoa, because he was the number one guy on everybody's free agent list. He was number one and number two.
Think it hurt Terrence's market?
No, because people, I hate to bring back up the beast, but people in today's world where in 2 years you've given a guy $100 million and $50 million, and in 2 years you're literally upset. This is what it's come down to. We'll give you big money and a little bit of signing bonus and a roster bonus, but we ain't gonna extend you 4 or 5 years to get $50 million. It just ain't happening no more.
And even Terrell McClain, he got $11 million guaranteed. So basically a 2-year, $5.5 million
because
contract.
They don't want to be if you try to be sweet, then they got a better deal because they kept you a little bit longer. But the 2-year deals, like Mick saying, like, okay, if he turned out to be better, we'll just redo him and up his ante. But we're not gonna just not know. And when you're dealing with people that you don't know personally, you don't know these athletes. One thing, the last 3 or 4 years, my hats off to the Cowboys. They have been pricing their guys right.
Yeah, they have.
They have been pricing their guys right.
And by the way, we priced Terrence Williams right.
Yeah.
Everybody else said, whoa, the market's $8 million a year. Well, it might be $8 million a year for that guy or that guy, but it wasn't going to be $8 million a year for Terrence Williams.
You see, Steele ran back to Miami. Yeah. I mean, it's just people ain't giving it away because today it ain't about 6 or 7 receivers in this league that can run routes, that can adjust on the fly, and the rest of them just guys that you just do certain things with. And if you that guy that they just do certain things with, you ain't getting paid.
You're not making that big money.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we said last week, what would you pay to re-sign Terrence Williams? And I think we said $4 or $5 million, right?
I just said if you don't get him back, I ain't gonna be mad.
If you looked at his contract, it says 4 years, $17 million, but it's really, if you look at the guarantees with the signing bonus and base salaries, it's a 2-year, $4.75 million average salary, so $9.5 million. So that was kind of fell right where we thought he would fall. 2017, he's got $1 million base salary guaranteed. 2018, $3.5 million guaranteed with a $5 million signing bonus spread over 4 years. So that's kind of what they thought he was worth, and that's what they got him back for.
So at receiver, they're back retaining their guys, look to be in pretty good shape there, where it's not necessarily a high draft priority, I wouldn't think. What points out to me at this point, quarterback spot, what happens with Tony? Do they, is he gone? Does he stay? Do they need to find a replacement backup? Defensive line, you still need some pass rush. That's always going to be an issue, although talking to Broadus, he likes DeMontre Moore, likes what he brought in Seattle, although he's been on 3 teams the last couple years.
Well, he's got to behave himself.
Hasn't realized his potential. I would still think that's a high draft priority. See what happens in the other stages of free agency. And we talked about the cornerback position. What happens with Mo? What happens with Carr? Nolan Carroll helps, but you probably still need to add another cornerback.
Well, I don't think we've seen DeMontre Moore's contract yet.
We haven't.
It might be a 1-year deal. He might not have been getting anything from anybody else. And it's like, okay, come in for $1 million. And let's see what goes on. Same thing with, what was the other guy? Steven. I still can't get it. Paya. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, I just reserved the right to just wait.
It's a 1-year, $2 million.
That's what I'm going to see.
It's a 1-year, $2 million deal.
Hard to say what they've got till you see it on the field.
So if he didn't get any guarantees, if he's not good enough to make it, he's gone.
Well,
and remember all the talk about Darren McFadden was going to get gobbled up? Still out there.
That's another spot to look at. See what they do there. Dunbar, a free agent as well. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on this and look back at the career of a great former Cowboy next.
To work this big land, you need equipment with values rooted as deep in Texas soil as you are. Like John Deere compact tractors with a 6-year powertrain warranty and big features that help you work less so you have more time to do what you love. John Deere was first in the Texas fields, and we're proud to be on the field as the official ag and turf equipment of the Dallas Cowboys. Find Texas-sized deals at myjohndeeredealer.com/football. Terms, conditions, exclusions, and warranty limitations apply. See dealer for details.
With unlimited data from AT&T, you can stream your favorite DirecTV content almost anywhere. Side effects may include sports-induced public celebration, increased desire to share spoilers, and repeated late-night use of the phrase,
just one more episode.
The unlimited effect. Get unlimited data when you switch to AT&T Wireless and have DirecTV.
After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Must have eligible TV service. If you're not eligible, AT&T will move you to a new plan and overage charges may apply. Plan will include Stream Saver. Other restrictions apply. See store for plan details.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, Cowboy legends, cheerleaders, and me, Brian Broaddus. Want to stay at the team hotel? With Star Sports Tours, you can. And our outstanding ticket selection is unmatched. You can trust the official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit starsportstours.com to book your travel packages today.
Ice Cold Dr. Pepper and the Dallas Cowboys go way back. They belong together like Texas and football, silver and blue, shotgun formations and Hail Marys. Having a Cowboys football party without Dr. Pepper is like Thanksgiving without the Cowboys. Basically, we wouldn't recommend it. So, next time you have a tailgate, home gate, or whatever else kind of gate, grab some ice cold Dr. Pepper to make your Cowboys party one of a kind. Dr. Pepper, a Dallas Cowboys tradition.
This is Talkin Cowboys.
I got a feeling we're still talking Papa John's pizza.
Yes, sir.
Nate's got his Papa John's red on today, too.
Yes, sir.
'Cause he knows why Papa John's tastes so great.
I bet it's ingredients, Nick.
Boy, those veggies, fresh, whole, never frozen. What about that pepperoni?
100% pork and beef.
And when you got ingredients like that, you got better pizza and still Papa John's.
You can feed the beast
No matter what Tommy John says.
Always feeding that beast, Nate.
Yes.
Thank you, Mickey. Welcome back to Talkin Cowboys. Been a little off on our schedule today. Spent 30 minutes talking Tony.
Well, that was 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes bonus time.
Is it?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I think we could pack it in the last 10 minutes.
We'll see what happens when the music starts playing.
Well, let's bring Ken in here too. Let's recap.
Here's a topic we can all agree on.
That DeMarcus Ware was a great player and a great Cowboy. He announced his retirement on Twitter yesterday after 9 seasons with the Cowboys and the last 3 with the Denver Broncos. Won a Super Bowl in 2015. He is calling it a career, guys.
Great man.
I'm not going to say it. Go ahead.
Great man.
Yeah, and a great player. He was a good
He's
person.
a good football player.
And it was too bad that, the injuries caught up with them at the end, and the Cowboys decided it was the one time they got hailed for releasing a guy sooner than later, and then he had one more decent season.
More than that. I mean, I think he made a couple Pro Bowls in those 2 years.
I thought it was just one that first year.
Well, he played well up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps to have Von Miller on the other side, but he was still productive. And you're right. Like, they were trying to do the right thing. They've gotten ripped in the past for hanging on to guys too long.
Yeah, and he had a $12.5 million base salary. They didn't think he was worth it after all the injuries he suffered in 2013.
I looked it up. He'd played his first 8 years in the league, guys. With the Cowboys, he played every single game. And then he missed 3 games that last year in 2013, and they let him go.
And he played with multiple injuries. That was the hard part. He had a fractured forearm. He had a shoulder that needed to be fixed. I think that was the season he suffered the neck injury. So he had a lot of things go on that year. It looked like it was suggesting he was breaking down. And, eventually he did. I mean, he broke down this past year. What did he play? 6 games, 9 games, something like that?
I'd have to look it up.
I think he had 4.5 sacks, something like that.
In his tweet, he had a long note that he sent out to the fans. Nate, one of the things he said was, long-term health and quality of life outweigh the spark and passion to play that I once had. When you were reaching the end of your career, what's the balance you got to weigh in terms of maybe you want to still play, but you also want to leave the game in good shape too?
And what gets you, man, is the practice.
Like if you just play a game, right?
The games,
yeah.
But practice and preparing, during the off season, you're trying to prepare, man, and he's an outgoing guy. He's trying to put everything he's got into it. And when you walk away from the workout, you want to feel like you accomplish something. A lot of times you be like, wow, I got to do this again tomorrow. You know, wow, you know, and it just get the dread of working out, trying to prepare, stay in shape, going a little bit further. And in my case, I got tired of just dragging off the weight.
and then it also has to do with how much you're going to pay me to play.
Well,
because if you're not, I think that enters into it. If you're going to get paid enough money, you'll give it a shot.
Big time, but you know, in his case, like in most cases, the money ain't. I don't think the money was going to be there. You know.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the interesting part of this, guys, is that
because he did wait a week.
Yeah.
Unrestricted free agent, and you know, the speculation was, should the Cowboys take a look at bringing him back because they need
because he said, I'd like to play for the Cowboys again.
Well, they also, obviously, they signed a defensive end last week or officially yesterday. They're looking for pass rush help.
I understand that, but they didn't sign him, so obviously they didn't offer him enough
money. Yeah,
they thought he didn't have anything left in the tank before. They probably think he definitely doesn't have anything left in the tank now. Not to say that they wouldn't sign him, but yeah.
I mean,
he's 35.
He probably resents the fact that they basically said you can't do it anymore to him when they released him.
You might know.
He wouldn't want a championship.
Hey,
so
I'll give you a 1-year deal for $1 million. Do you want to come play? And he probably said, I'd rather retire. For the amount of money he had been making, $1 million, that's nothing.
So he retires.
It's something, but it's nothing.
Perspective, right?
Yeah.
He retires with 138.5 sacks. That's 8th all-time in NFL history. Just a tremendous career. 7 Pro Bowls, 7 All-Pro teams, 117 sacks with the Cowboys. That's the most all-time.
Right.
In team history. Kent, one of your favorite players of all
time?
One
of my favorite players of all time. And people talk about his numbers and, wow, he's 8th all-time and was always a threat, always getting double-teamed. But, man, he was such a great locker room presence, always cheerful, always smiling, singing, great with the media. He was just kind of the cardboard cutout of what you would want your defensive end pass rusher to be and your leader to be. First ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think there's anyone who has a strongly negative opinion on him. Maybe some more than others, but, I mean, this was a really well-liked guy in almost every sense of the word. Peyton Manning put out a statement yesterday just saying he's one of his favorite teammates of all time. He loved the game. He loved practice. He loved helping younger guys, and that's the kind of player you want. So I would think he would go in the Hall of Fame before Ring of Honor, but who knows? Maybe in the next 2 years, if he stays retired, that he'll be in the Ring of Honor sooner rather than later.
5-year wait for the Pro
5-year wait for the Hall of Fame,
yep,
but
yeah.
Maybe the next 3, I could see him in the Ring of Honor. I bet Jerry gets in first, and then D. Ware.
Jerry's going to put himself in first?
I think the family could put him in. They could bestow that on him.
Who's going to make that decision, huh?
Man, you talk about a guy that
do it behind his back and just do it one day and surprise him. I think that'd be really cool.
Like they did Bob Lilly.
Tell him he's going out there to shake hands with Dr. Pepper or something, and then they just unveil it, you know?
They told Bob Lilly they were having Bob Lilly Day, and they were going to have a reunion because he had retired, and just come on back, and we're going to have a little day at halftime. And then when he got here, he found out that they created something called the Cowboys Ring of Honor, and he was going into the Ring of Honor as the first guy.
Yes! That's awesome.
There we go.
That is awesome. Let's pull that on Jerry.
Terrell Owens going in the Ring of Honor?
28.
Okay. Sorry, that's off.
Tony Romo?
32.
No, I said Terrell Owens.
You think Tony Romo will?
Uh-oh. Time's ticking, Nate.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, a great career by DeMarcus Ware. I wish him the best of luck in retirement.
Great player.
Talk about a guy, 11th overall pick, what he was able to do. It's hard to live up to that high of a draft pick, and I think
what's the kid from San Diego, man?
Sean Merriman, yeah.
Who everybody thought they should have
Marcus Spears,
got.
who retired a while ago, I think, a couple years ago.
Sean Merriman.
Sean Merriman.
Cowboys made a mistake, remember?
Yeah.
Right. Should have drafted him because his first year was better than Ware's.
And Marcus Spears was also the discussion at that spot. They ended up getting both of them, so I remember they were really happy about that.
Well, that was because Jerry Jones took over from Parcells.
Yep.
Parcells wanted Spears first and then Ware, and Jerry said, we've been chasing a defensive end all these years, and now we got one sitting there. We better grab him first and take Spears second.
Worked out pretty well.
That's what they ended up doing.
And they're still trying to find a guy that you got to point out to him every time.
They've been trying to replace him ever since.
That's right. That's right. So
They don't come along very often.
Nope.
They had to go out of their way to get Charles Haley, and then we said,
trade Tony
for
the guy down in
What happened to that?
Oh,
trade?
don't start.
What happened to that trade?
Sources said.
Uh-oh, we're on sources now.
Sources said. What happened to that three-way trade? Because that's the one I wanted.
Yeah.
Jerry shot that one down the next day.
Ah.
All right, that's it for Talking Cowboys.
Should have done.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So we didn't get to any calls. We had a lot to cover. We apologize. We'll do that next week.
We can come back tomorrow.
We'll be back next Tuesday, taking a bunch of calls, 11 a.m. Central. We'll see you guys then.
Have a great day.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!